What would you do if you woke up in a cell and realized the man who took your little brother's life was sleeping just 3 doors down? J Boogie didn't have to imagine it. He's living it right now. Bloodhound Lil, Jeff's older brother, is locked up in the same facility as Trap City Rob, the OG who allegedly ended Jeff's reign of terror in Chicago's drill scene. But what J Boogie did to survive this nightmare, that's something nobody saw coming. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you're gonna understand why sometimes the smartest move in the streets isn't throwing hands, it's playing crazy. And trust me, the strategy J Boogie used is something straight out of a survival manual. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, because this story gets darker the deeper we go. Now, before we talk about what's happening in jail right now, we gotta set the scene for those who might not know the full story. This whole situation goes way deeper than just a simple beef. We're talking about years of violence, betrayal, and revenge that's been tearing apart the east side of Chicago. Bloodhound Lil Jeff, real name Jeffrey Lamar Harris, was one of the most notorious figures to come out of Chicago drill in recent years. This dude was claiming bodies left and right, bragging about having 10 to 11 murders under his belt, and wasn't shy about letting the world know. Jeff was part of the Bloodhounds crew, which included members from different sets like Drill City, Chris World, and Trap City. But here's where it gets twisted. See, Jeff's older brother J Boogie, who's about 5 years older than Jeff, had been in the streets way before his little brother ever jumped off the porch. J Boogie was tight with a lot of these same dudes that Jeff would later go to war with. We're talking about sets that used to be family. Drill City, Trap City, and Chris World were all part of what they called the 06679 Alliance. These crews had been rolling together for over a decade, but money, jealousy, and street politics would eventually tear that bond apart. The breaking point came in March 2023 when Jeff's cousin Z Money got gunned down. Z Money, real name Zier Nelson, was sitting in his car at a dry cleaners when another vehicle pulled up and lit him up with over 29 shots. That murder changed everything for Jeff and the Bloodhounds. The word on the street was that Z Money got backdoored by people he trusted, specifically members from Trap City who he used to call family. Now let me paint the picture of what Z Money meant to this family. Z wasn't just Jeff's cousin, he was like another brother. They grew up together, got into the streets together, and Z was one of the few people who could actually keep Jeff in check when he started moving too reckless. When Z got killed, it wasn't just about losing family. It was about losing someone who represented loyalty in a world full of snakes. The way Z Money got taken out made it even worse. This wasn't a fair fight or a shootout where everybody knew what time it was. This was a calculated hit by people he used to break bread with. People who knew his routine, knew where he'd be vulnerable. That type of betrayal cuts different, and it set Jeff on a path of destruction that nobody could stop. After Z Money's death, Jeff went completely off the rails. This dude was already wild, but losing his cousin like that turned him into something else entirely. Jeff and his crew cut all ties with Trap City and Chris World, and what followed was a summer of violence that had the whole east side on edge. The rumors started flying that Jeff was the one behind several murders in retaliation for Z Money. One of the biggest names that kept coming up was Lee, a 19-year-old from Trap City who got shot up in his rideshare car in Little Italy. Jeff wasn't even trying to hide it. He was dropping bars about catching someone in a fishbowl, which is street talk for getting someone in a car with clear windows. He was literally confessing to murders in his music. But Jeff didn't stop there. The dude was so thirsty for revenge that he allegedly took out multiple people connected to the sets that betrayed his family. We're talking about a killing spree that had even the most hardened street dudes shook. Jeff was moving like he had nothing to lose, and honestly, looking back at it now, he probably knew his time was running short. What made Jeff so dangerous was that he wasn't just some young hothead pulling random moves. He was calculated with his chaos. He studied his targets, knew their routines, and struck when they least expected it. The dude was treating street warfare like it was a military operation, and that combination of intelligence and violence made him one of the most feared names on the east side. Jeff's music became his confession booth. Every track was filled with details about his moves, subliminal shots at his enemies, and open threats about who was next on his list. Some people thought he was just rapping for clout, but those who knew the streets understood that Jeff wasn't playing character. He was documenting his real life. The crazy part is that while all this was happening, J Boogie was locked up doing a bid for gun charges. So he's sitting in prison watching his little brother turn into this demon in the streets. knowing he can't do nothing to protect him or guide him. That had to be eating J Boogie up inside, especially since he was the one who originally put Jeff onto the street life. Imagine being J Boogie in that position. You're behind bars, getting bits and pieces of information about your little brother's movements through phone calls and prison gossip. You're hearing about him dropping bodies, making enemies with people who used to be family, and moving so reckless that it's only a matter of time before something bad happens. And there's nothing you can do except watch it unfold from behind a glass window during visits. Everything came to a head on June 8, 2024. Jeff and his crew, including his right-hand man Q50, caught one of their ops lacking on South Rhodes Avenue, the same street Jeff had been bragging about shooting up in his music. The surveillance footage that leaked later showed Jeff jumping out the car, chasing this dude in yellow shorts up to a house, trying to finish him off. But here's where Jeff's luck ran out. Instead of catching his target slipping, Jeff ran into a setup. As he chased the dude up the porch, someone inside that house opened fire and lit Jeff up. We're talking about 19 shots that hit Jeff, with 58 shell casings found at the scene. The man who allegedly pulled that trigger was Trap City Rob, also known as Unk to his people. Now, Trap City Rob ain't no young hothead like Jeff was. This dude is in his mid-30s, an OG who's been in these streets since before drill music even existed. Rob had been trying to stay out the way, focusing on his music and his family. But when Jeff kept pushing and disrespecting, Rob felt like he had no choice but to handle his business. The footage showed Jeff getting dropped right there on that porch, and his crew had to come back and scoop his body to rush him to the hospital. But it was too late. Jeffrey Bloodhound Lil Jeff Harris was gone at just 21 years old, and the streets were talking about how Trap City Rob had just took out one of Chicago's most feared killers. Now, while all this drama was playing out in the streets, J Boogie was dealing with his own problems behind bars. See, J Boogie had already been locked up since around 2020 on gun charges, and he was supposed to be getting out soon. But just like his little brother, J Boogie couldn't stay out of trouble. According to what we know, J Boogie came home from doing about 2 years on a gun case, and for a minute it looked like he might have learned his lesson. He was trying to support Jeff's music career, and there were even videos of them together where J Boogie looked like he was trying to be a positive influence on his little brother. But the streets don't let you go that easy. Within less than a year of being home, J Boogie caught another case, this time multiple gun charges that were way more serious than what he'd been locked up for before. Word is that J Boogie was moving reckless, probably trying to get revenge for Z Money and support his little brother's war with Trap City. The timing couldn't have been worse. J Boogie got locked back up right around the time when the beef between Jeff and Trap City was at its hottest. So now he's back behind bars, watching from prison as his little brother is out there moving like a maniac, and there's nothing he can do about it. Then came that phone call that every big brother dreads. J Boogie found out that Jeff had been killed while he was locked up, unable to protect him or even be there for the funeral. That type of guilt and pain can drive a man crazy, especially when you're stuck in a cell with nothing but time to think about all the what-ifs. The guilt J Boogie must have felt is something most people can't comprehend. He was the one who introduced Jeff to the streets. He was the one who showed him the ropes, taught him how to move, put him in position to become what he became. And now his little brother was dead because of the lifestyle J Boogie helped create for him. That's a weight that doesn't just go away. But here's where this story gets really wild. Somehow, someway, the system put J Boogie and Trap City Rob in the same facility. Now, I don't know if this was just bad luck, poor planning by the corrections department, or if somebody wanted to see what would happen when these two ended up in the same spot. Think about it. You got J Boogie, who just lost his little brother to violence, sitting in the same jail as the man who allegedly pulled the trigger. That's a recipe for disaster, and everybody knew it. The Illinois Department of Corrections is supposed to have systems in place to prevent exactly this type of situation. They're supposed to flag inmates who have beef with each other and keep them separated. But somehow, either through bureaucratic incompetence or deliberate placement, these two ended up in the same facility. According to sources close to the situation, Trap City Rob was trying to get at J Boogie. Now, Rob ain't no punk. This dude had just proved he could handle business by taking out Jeff, and he probably felt like he needed to finish what was started. In jail, your reputation is everything, and having the brother of your victim in the same facility creates a situation that can't be ignored. In the prison hierarchy, Rob had just elevated his status by taking out a known killer, but having Jay Boogie in the same facility meant that status was constantly being challenged. Other inmates would be watching to see how this played out, and Rob knew that any sign of weakness could make him a target himself. But Jay Boogie wasn't trying to play that game. See, Jay Boogie is older and more experienced than his little brother was. While Jeff was all about that action and proving how tough he was, Jay Boogie understood that sometimes you gotta be smart about how you move, especially when you're locked up and outnumbered. So what did Jay Boogie do? This dude started acting crazy, and I mean really putting on a show. We're talking about full-blown mental health episodes, acting erratic, doing whatever it took to convince the guards and the medical staff that he was having a breakdown. Now this wasn't just random acting. Jay Boogie was playing chess while everybody else was playing checkers. See, when you're in jail and you start showing signs of mental health issues, the system has protocols they have to follow. They can't just leave you in general population if they think you might hurt yourself or others. Reports from inside say Jay Boogie was doing everything, talking to himself, refusing to eat, having outbursts at random times, claiming he was hearing voices. He was basically checking every box on the mental health crisis checklist that would force the administration to take action. The beauty of this strategy is that it accomplishes multiple things at once. First, it gets you out of general population and away from immediate threats. Second, it makes you look weak and broken to your enemies, so they're less likely to see you as a threat worth pursuing. Third, it creates a paper trail of mental health documentation that can actually help with your legal case down the line. Jay Boogie was basically forcing the system to move him to protective custody or a different facility altogether. It's a survival tactic that a lot of older heads use when they find themselves in impossible situations. You swallow your pride, act like you're losing it, and let the system protect you instead of trying to fight your way out. The crazy part is that this strategy was working. Guards started documenting Jay Boogie's behavior. Medical staff got involved, and pretty soon there was talk about transferring him or putting him in a different housing unit. Meanwhile, Trap City Rob is probably sitting there frustrated because he can't get to the man he wants to handle. But let's step back and look at the bigger picture here. This whole situation shows you just how deep these street beefs go and how they follow you wherever you go, even behind bars. Jay Boogie and Trap City Rob represent two different generations and approaches to street life. Rob is from that older school where you handle your business when you have to, but you're not out here bragging about it or trying to become famous for being a killer. He tried to stay out the way, focus on his music and his family. But when Jeff kept pushing, Rob felt like he had no choice. Jay Boogie, on the other hand, is caught in the middle. He's the one who put his little brother onto the streets, but he also watched that same street life consume Jeff and turn him into something that couldn't be saved. Now he's dealing with the consequences of those choices while locked up and unable to properly grieve or get revenge. The fact that Jay Boogie chose to play crazy instead of trying to fight shows that he learned something from watching his brother's story play out. Jeff was all about that action, always ready to jump out and handle business, and look where it got him. Jay Boogie saw that and decided to be smarter about his survival. This situation also exposes the harsh reality of gang culture and how it traps people in cycles they can't escape. Jay Boogie and Rob could have been friends in another life. They were part of the same alliance, knew the same people, came up in the same streets, but circumstances and choices led them to opposite sides of a beef that cost multiple lives and destroyed families. As of right now, both Jay Boogie and Trap City Rob are still locked up, but they're no longer in the same facility. Jay Boogie's strategy worked. His acting crazy got him moved to a different location where he doesn't have to worry about running into his brother's alleged killer every day. But this story ain't over. Jay Boogie is still facing those gun charges that could keep him locked up for years, and the pain of losing his little brother isn't going away anytime soon. Meanwhile, Trap City Rob is dealing with his own legal issues and the target that comes with being known as the man who took out Bloodhound Lil Jeff. The streets are still talking about this whole situation. Some people respect Rob for handling his business and protecting his hood, while others see him as the man who took out a rising star in the drill scene. Jay Boogie, on the other hand, is getting mixed reactions. Some people understand why he played crazy to survive, while others think he should have tried to get revenge for his brother. But here's what really needs to be understood about this whole situation. It represents everything wrong with the cycle of violence that's destroying communities. Jeff thought he was untouchable, bragging about his body count and dissing his enemies, but the streets always collect their debt. He turned himself into such a threat that someone felt they had no choice but to eliminate him. J Boogie tried to guide his little brother, but the streets had already claimed Jeff's soul. By the time J Boogie realized how deep Jeff was in, it was too late to pull him out. Now J Boogie is left dealing with the aftermath, the guilt, the loss, and the impossible situation of being locked up with his brother's killer. At the end of the day, this whole story is just another example of how the cycle of violence in Chicago keeps spinning. These were crews that used to be family. The 06679 alliance was supposed to be unbreakable. But money, jealousy, and street politics tore them apart. Now we got bodies dropping, families destroyed, and young men locked up or dead over beef that didn't have to escalate this far. Now we got two men locked up, both dealing with the consequences of choices that were made in the heat of the moment. Rob had to live with taking a young man's life, even if he felt justified in doing it. J Boogie has to live with the fact that he couldn't save his brother and had to swallow his pride to survive in jail. The saddest part is that this whole beef started over something that could have been handled differently. Z-Money's death set off a chain reaction that led to multiple murders, destroyed alliances, and left families on both sides grieving. And for what? Territory, reputation, pride? J Boogie's strategy of playing crazy to survive might seem weak to some people, but it shows wisdom that his little brother never had. Sometimes the smartest move isn't the toughest one. Sometimes survival means knowing when to fight and when to be strategic. Jeff never learned that lesson, and it cost him his life at 21 years old. Make sure y'all hit that like button if this story was crazy to you, subscribe for more content like this, and let me know in the comments what you think about J Boogie's strategy. Was he smart to play crazy, or should he have handled it differently? Do you think the system put them in the same facility on purpose, or was it just bad luck? Drop your thoughts below, because I want to hear what y'all think about this whole situation. I'll see y'all in the